deep inside the piney woods of northeast Texas. You are listening to Talk of the Night. And now, your host, Paranormal Phil. From deep inside.
Hi, how are you? Good to be here. Sure. So Vortex 29 is my home. I also own Twisted Reels Productions, which is a production company out here in the Mojave Desert where the house is located. And we shoot my show as well as a companion podcast here at the house on as well, Dead Air Energies. And so yeah, there's a lot going on here. It's just a crazy house. Essentially, I started doing soundtrack work for paranormal TV show, and I had not really dipped my toe. I'm sensitive, always have been, seen lots of entities, bought this house, and I'm like, oh my God, I think it's haunted. And so I asked a friend to come and investigate, and he did, and other teams have come out and experienced some amazing things. And yeah, that's pretty much what's happening is it's just a very active house. It's alive. It's kind of got a life of its own. And I'm filming a show here. And then on September 15th, I have a really big announcement coming about Dead Air Energy's season 2. So pretty exciting stuff going on. Oh yeah, there's a lot going on here, let me tell you. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that's what's interesting about Vortex 29 is it really the reason it's called Vortex 29, um, it is actually on a vortices. This is where the three big deserts of the Southwest meet. This is where the Mojave Desert meets the Sonoran Desert meets the lesser known Coloradan Desert. So it really does sit on a swirl of sorts. And historically the land was a meeting place. It was where indigenous people would come and set up different trading spots. There's also some really interesting bird phenomenon here because there are these odd lakes that kind of shouldn't be here. Our proximity to the Salton Sea, so it's interesting because it's not just paranormal activity, which is why I do the campouts. I take, folks out to the Salton Sea, to Anza Borrego, Joshua Tree, out to the south end, where a lot of people don't know where that is. Darkest skies in the country. Every night around 10:30, I have a visitor in the sky out here. So I set up Skycam so that I can record this like 24 hours a day, real time. The house is always being recorded. So the inside has its entities, the outside has an entity or two, and then it also has incredibly active skies. We have some of the most active, like seismic activity out here. And I think there's some kind of correlation between it, because it's like you'll feel the earthquake kind of before it happens. Then the earthquake notification that, everybody in California has on their phone, that'll go off, and then you'll see something out in the sky. And it's just very interesting. So it's like interesting our proximity to, weird land masses, to the 29 Palms military base, to Joshua Tree. Just a really fascinating location just in and of itself before you even come inside the damn place. You know what I mean? It's a weird place. It is. Well, what's interesting is where my house sits. It's if you look to the left, they say it's SpaceX. I can't say 100%, but Desert Rat Mythology says that SpaceX has a very secretive testing site over to the left of where my house sits. To the right is the Chocolate Mountains, where the 29 Palms base, they shoot off the artillery and different things. What's funny is if you sit out in my hammock long enough, you will see some crazy stuff that is it SpaceX? Is it the military? Is it secret testing stuff? Because it shouldn't do that. Whatever it is, the propulsion system or whatever they're testing. To be honest with you, a lot of times it looks like alien tech. So it's like, I don't know. And I think that's what, well, exactly. And that's my point, is exactly that, is that I do feel what we see out here in the middle of nowhere is kind of where they're testing exactly that. You know what I'm saying? The stuff that a bunch of weirdos out in the desert, nobody gives two craps what we think. Oh my God, there were weird lights in the sky. Yeah, whatever, you loony. You know what I mean? That's different if it's over Boston, or something like that. So I think we see a lot of weird stuff out here that is alien tech, military, SpaceX, whatever, a combination of all three. We're seeing it out in the backyard here. So I welcome people to come out and do a camp out, sit in the backyard and watch the skies come inside and then investigate for the paranormal. So yeah, we got it all. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Right. Yeah. Yeah. And that's what I'm experiencing. Exactly. And that's what I'm experiencing out here. The people that have come to investigate and stay out here, we've all experienced exactly that, where we're seeing something and it's like there's no reasonable explanation for why it should be able to move that way or hover or dart off, into these crazy things. And also something that the visitor, well, I call it the visitor, the thing that shows up at 10:30 almost every single night, it's like an orb, not like a paranormal orb, but in the sky, an orb, and it'll fly. And then it's like these other smaller light forms or orbs. I hate using that word because it's kind of got a negative thing in the paranormal world, but you feel me, you follow me. These light things, they shoot out and there's like three or four, and they kind of move with it and then go off. And it's almost like clockwork, you know what I mean? And then you'll see like another one that happens a lot is this light orb thing will be cruising along and then stop. And then another one will kind of come out of nowhere. And it's like they kind of almost talk. Do you know what I mean? As if like fighter pilots do, you know how they'll like get next to each other and kind of communicate. That's what it kind of looks like. And it's not just me. I mean, I've probably had, I would say, 10 people validate this that have come out and been like, holy shit, like you were right, you know, and they'll take video of it. And it's, I don't know what it is. And I welcome people, please. I don't know what anything is. I also think that's kind of what makes Vortex interesting is I'm coming from the same place everybody else is. I don't know what's happening here. No clue. You know what I mean? I'm not one of those that's like, oh, it's ghosts, goblins. If it's aliens, if it's whatever, cloaking, different dimensions, great. Come help me better explain what's happening here. So, you know what I mean? I guess I come from it from like a total hell if I know, you know, kind of like perspective. Yeah. I sit comfortably on the fence. Right. Exactly. 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 And that's what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to get every kind of expert you can possibly imagine, you know, to come in here and tell me what they think. Because I love to say, I stole this from a colleague of mine, Anne Russo. She says, I like to sit comfortably on the fence in the paranormal world. I don't know. And that's where I am. I'm comfortably on my chair on the fence, you know. I don't know what's real. I don't know what's not real. I know what I've experienced for myself, but that's where I even have enlisted the help of mental health experts, you know, for dead air energies, because it's like, I think that's a big issue we're not really talking about a lot. Is like you're saying, there's folks that, bless their hearts, dude, you can't believe every single thing you see on YouTube, my friend. You know what I mean? You have to be able exactly, exactly right. Like you've got to be able to rely on your own know-how to some degree. Yeah, you know, exactly. So yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's an interesting story. I cover that actually for anybody that hasn't seen Dead Air Energies, the first season. It's available on YouTube. Check it out. I'm super proud of it. It's an amazing show. So basically, I talk about I think it's like episode 3 or something. I don't know. I bought an RV. I am a violent crime survivor, and I'm a near death survivor. So I went on this healing journey, you know, me and my two big ass huge dogs, you know, my big massive dogs. Jumped in an RV. I put my whole life savings into it and just started traveling the country. And I spent a whole year living in the national parks. You can live in a national park for up to a month before it's considered like, you know, a squatting or whatever. So I would go like 28 days, you know, you know, living in like Grand Teton or something. It was awesome. So when I made it to Joshua Tree, I just fell in love with the area and I was like, let me just keep going south. I found this crazy tree circle thing off of I-10 and it fascinated me. I was like, you know, turn this thing around. Let's go check that out. You know, what's this weird, wild thing? weirdest place I've ever seen, Desert Center, California. I knew it. I just knew I wanted to live in this really, really weird ghost town, you know? And so I basically lived in a little campground that's well, now it's completely abandoned. I waited for a house to come available and I found an amazing house, got it for basically a song because it had been abandoned for 7 years. Took 2 years all by myself, me and the entities, gutted the entire thing. And I tell you, I don't know how I would have done it without them. I really don't, truly. Things that I have no idea how to do. I swear these ghosts, I call them entities because I don't know what they are, but we'll say ghosts, you know. Um, they would help me carry stuff like running gas line. The hell do I know about running a gas line? And things like this. So there was really no reasonable explanation why I should have been able to completely remodel a 2,000 square foot house by myself, but I did. And after about 2.5 years, I'd been out here a long time, and so by myself. And so I enlisted, like I said, that the help of, I do soundtracking, got a gig doing some soundtracking for that paranormal show. Um, and had an investigator friend come check it out. And lo and behold, it's haunted. And so it kind of took over, it became like I own the production company and I have all these other shows that I am pitching and developing, and Dead Air Energies just kind of took over my whole life, because it was like explaining what's going on in my daily life, like what I'm experiencing and seeing, and this crazy life that I'm living out in the middle of the desert. I'm in this gorgeous big house. So yeah, that's kind of, I mean, that's the story, I guess the long story of how I found this crazy place. I don't know if it found me or I found it. Like, to be totally honest, I'm not sure. Right. Exactly. Mhm. Preconceived stuff, sure. Yeah. I don't feel that way. What I have here, and again, I think it's important. The history of the house is very important. Um, this house was built in 1969, and I'm going to get back to like what you were saying, but this house was built in 69. And so it was actually a swingers house in the 70s and 80s. It had mirrors on the ceiling. I mean, it was, it had three bars in it when I bought it, it was a party house, absolutely. And so I really honestly suspect it was almost like a love nest, is kind of what I feel like for an executive or something. Why I bring that up is that the entities that are here, the energy, which is why I call it dead air energies, the energy that's here is very positive. It feels electric, staticky. Um, the walking through the spider webs feeling, you do feel that a lot here, a lot. But it feels more electric, like an energy. You hear singing, you hear music a lot. Feet, shuffling around and it sounds like they're dancing. You hear things moving around in the kitchen. You know how a solo cup kind of has that certain sound to it, or whatever. You almost can hear that where it's like people chattering and like the crumple kind of a cup, it's more of that. So I think that it kind of is important to put that into the conversation, because my house is not a Civil War ghost, sad murder house. It's not that. It's, to be honest with you, I think that the main entities that are here is what nowadays is called a throuple, two men and a woman. I think honestly, that's the main inhabitants of this house. There are three main entities. There's many, but those are the three main ones, and they're fun. You know what I'm saying, and you can feel their energy in the room. And again, like to bring it all home, it's a static, like almost like a yeah, it's hard to explain. Mhm. Right, exactly. Right. But I think that energy travels, it attaches itself. Totally. Mhm. Yeah, I mean, again, that's really what's interesting is I've been as sensitive my whole life and I never really had a word for it. I just kind of thought everybody was like that, you know what I mean? I've seen shadow figures my whole life. My best friend growing up was what's now called the Hat Man. I didn't know even, other people had seen him until I was in my 30s, So I was kind of unaware, to be honest, that there was a paranormal world at all, really. So really, it wasn't until I, through different, social channels, met up with Daryl Marston from Ghost Hunters alum. And he was doing a YouTube show called My Haunted Manor USA. And so that was who I was doing a little soundtracking work for, more for fun, to get a couple credits under my name as a new producer at that time, a couple years ago. And I started talking to him, about what's going on in this crazy house. And then he connected me with, some other people. And that's just kind of how it grew. So I had absolutely no idea, my infamous sign. Yeah. That's funny that that would happen right then, but we'll leave that. Anyway, so that's when people came to the house to investigate. The first time I became aware at all of these shows. I had never seen Ghost Hunters until I talked to Daryl. I really just was kind of unfamiliar with the community at large. I just really didn't know. So when you watched season one, I really truly am learning right along with the audience. I didn't know what a K2 meter was, didn't know what it did, had no idea what this equipment was. My favorite story is the first investigation ever, like really big one where they had like the grids and the bells and the, all this stuff. I'd never seen anything like that. Even flying up to see the Samuel Miller Mansion where My Haunted Manor USA is filmed, I didn't see that level, of equipment as what these folks brought in here. It was impressive. And so I'm sitting there and the lights are going off and the dead bell and this is happening and the spirit box and the this and the SLS camera and all this shit. And it looked like a 90s rave club, is what I love to say. I mean, it was like lights and voices and everything. And I'm yelling, literally, I'm not even exaggerating, going, "Is this normal?" And they're like, "No." Like sometimes you will sit all night long for a knock or two, and yeah, I didn't know that. Right, and this house is not like that. They are so excited because it was just, I mean, the house was abandoned for 7 years, and then I moved in, and it was just me and the entities for 3 years. So the first person to come into the house was the paranormal investigator that came from the manor. So it was really weird. I mean, that person really got a full, here's the first, real like live investigation. So when we got the team in here, it was amazing. I mean, I if you watch episode 1, there's a lot of that footage in there. And like we'll be investigating the rest of the house because it's a 2,000 square foot house. It's big, and we're over on the other side. You can still hear the dead bell over by the stripper pole in the sunroom going off all the way through the house. I mean, it never stopped. So it's like it's just 24 hours a day. It really does not stop here. It just doesn't. Oh, I've set up, even without me, I've set up, not just me, but the investigators, we've set up audio when no one's home. And you can hear on the audio, we say, "Okay, bye, guys," and then shut the door. And maybe I would say 5 minutes goes by, and you start hearing, I don't know, noises, people walking. The kitchen, was very active. You hear clanging, I can't recreate it, but it's like, you hear things that it's like, what is that? That should not be there, stuff like that. The spatula flies across the room. That's happened several times. I mean, it's an Right, exactly. Yeah, I mean, there's just really nothing negative here, at all. There's just not. It's a very loving environment. It feels very safe in here, but it's very active. We've heard, I think, I want to say it's episode 2, female voices, answering direct questions. Um, you know, yes, all kinds have been very interesting. I mean, it would take me forever to tell you everything that goes on around here, but usually the hot spot, I know, but the hot spot, the time is really, I would say between 2:30 and maybe 5. 2:30 a.m. and 5 is really kind of the super active time, but it's active all the time, like all the time. It never really stops. Right. Yeah. Mhm. the ghosts, whatever. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. I've got two entities here that have followed me my whole life, and I'm not exactly sure, kind of what they are, or how I would classify them, I guess. Um, the entities here at the house, um, again, I'm not really sure. I guess I'm not really sure 100% what that term means because I haven't had a lot of experience with having that stuff explained to me. I really thought having teams come in, I was going to get a little more knowledge. So if you don't mind expanding on what you mean by elemental so that I know that I'm answering the right question because I've heard two different explanations for what that is. Okay. Yes. Okay. Yes. So yes, Dark Man, I was right. I wanted to make sure that because I've heard two different explanations and I was not 100% sure. But yeah, the ones that have followed me my whole life, Dark Man, I feel is elemental. There's something there. The ones that are here, I'm not really sure. Here's the thing, I don't feel like I've really gotten a full investigation on the house yet. Like a real live, fettered, for lack of better words, untainted, I guess, where, we've had so many opinions and I just kind of want more facts. And so I don't really know how to answer those questions. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a lot of activity here. I know that. I've seen it, like seen it with my own eyes, seen it with the, equipment. I would like to get more people that are sensitives, more scientific equipment that's going to answer a little more deeper questions. So to be honest, I don't know, and I think that's my naivete of the actual paranormal world. I don't claim to be an expert. Like I said, I'm still learning the equipment, the verbiage. I can just tell you what it's like to live here, to experience it. You know what I mean? But as far as what is it, hell if I know, man. You know, like, I don't know. Right, whatever it is. Yeah, whatever the equipment is. Yeah, exactly. There's always going to be people. And I think that's where I come from is it's like, I can promise you I'm not making anything up because I ain't trying to prove nothing. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care enough to fake it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't care enough about proving my house is haunted. Like, come see for yourself. I don't know. Right. Mhm. Okay. Exactly. Mhm. No, I totally agree with you. Absolutely. Because there's a lot of stuff, I say there's been a lot of activity sorry, a perfect example. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that happens around here, but I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, Is it answering a question that someone thought of in their mind? Does it mean nothing? Does it mean something? I think it's kind of up to the person sitting there and the context of the question that's asked. And, who knows? I don't know. And that's what's fun about it, I think. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's exciting now that summer is finally like appeasing, a little bit coming down. I'll be ready to rock on those coming up here like probably the beginning of September. I'll think it'll be cool enough by then to start taking folks out. Way fun. So the Anza Borrego Triangle, essentially like I take you all the way around through the triangle. We can explore, do investigations, whatever it is you like, and then we camp out in the actual park. So we're doing, these investigations, we're checking out the skies, we're doing campouts, we're cooking food, we're listening to music, we're playing games. It's a blast. And I mean, I just can't express like what a low-key good time, it's not like super hiking or, anything like that. It's a great time. And then also I do a Joshua Tree camp out. Again, same thing, super dark skies, but this is the other end of Joshua Tree National Park. This is not like the city of well, I say city, the town of Joshua Tree. That's further north. So this is the tail end of the park. Just a really good time. I cannot express to you. We even do them here at the house. I have a huge projection screen. God, last time we did it, I put Close Encounters of the Third Kind on. We had a big, marshmallow roast, crock pots of chili. We did a chili thing and did an experiment in the kitchen to see if it brought more entities, which it did. We sat out under the stars, watching the skies, saw tons of stuff. It was just a really good time. And then once you're done out there, you can come inside the house, do a vet investigation if you want, or sleep in one of the haunted rooms. It's totally up to you. So yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. And that is maybe an hour and a half from here. I'm always more than happy. We can take folks up there, do a whole entire thing up in Joshua Tree, the actual town. There's an amazing saloon up there. You get burgers and, do UFO hunt, listen to some great live music. Just a really good time. So yeah, totally. The Integratron is right there. It's an absolutely, I don't even know how to explain it. It's a once in a lifetime, kind of an experience. There's no metal in the building. All of the nails, every single solitary bit of that building is constructed with wood, and it is on an unbelievable vortices. It is a full, I don't even know how to really explain it. It's a sound bowl building. So when they're doing the sound bowl, it is reverberating from the inside the ground, all the way up through your freaking soul. I mean, really, it's like really, truly, it's like, oh my God, it is like coming through your body. So yeah, I'd highly recommend anybody that hasn't been to the Integratron with or without me, go check it out. It's really worth it. Totally. Good time. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it's not really well known. And I think that's what's so exciting about where I am is that I would say for about a 3 hour radius, there's like the most amazing stuff to me, Salvation Mountain, the Salton Sea. Those are other areas that I take people out and do UFO campouts and investigations, and the abandoned strip here, the abandoned school. There's all kinds of stuff to see and do, and people just kind of don't know it's here. Because very few people travel this far south unless you're going to Phoenix or Mexico. Why would you be here? But the funny part is, though, is that it's called Desert Center. For your listeners, if they're like, where is this place she's talking about? They call it Desert Center because it is the center of the Mojave. It's 3 hours to Phoenix, 3 hours to Vegas, 3 hours to LA, and 3 hours to San Diego. I'm 45 minutes from the Coachella Valley. So, right where the Coachella Music Festival is, I am 40 minutes down the road. But 40 minutes down the I-10 in the middle of the Mojave Desert. So it's like you're just doing a straight shot, straight from any of these major cities, you know, bam, here you are. So yeah, it's an interesting location. It's very strange. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, Joshua Tree. Yeah, Joshua Tree is definitely known as a hotspot. And that's why I say a lot of folks don't realize how big Joshua Tree National Park is. Because you think of the city, I call it city, it's very small, but the national park, and then the national park is actually it would probably take almost 4 hours to drive like the entire length of the park. So I'm actually about 2 hours into almost the middle of it. So it's a very interesting hot spot for UFOs where I am because it's pretty much the middle of the park. You know what I mean? It's like the middle of where the military base meets the park. So it's just kind of a weird area just in general. So you'll see a lot of UAP activity, lots of weird lights in the sky, lots of strange, even sound. You hear very strange sounds in the sky out here. It's just a weird place. It's a very strange place. We're not far from Death Valley, which, tons of all kinds of crazy activity out there. So, yeah. Uh huh. Well, not so much. It's weird out in Joshua Tree, but what's funny is this place has been compared at least 5 times to Skinwalker because you go outside. There was actually some footage that we caught. I don't know what it was. It was something in our backyard, and at the time we had a drone flying up above. Someone was flying a drone, a production member of the production crew was flying a drone and caught some weird shadow that like ran across the yard, and we zoomed in on it, and could not figure out what it was. Several other investigators caught very odd similar kinds of things to that. We've heard, what is that? It's not a coyote. It's not, it's like I've lived in the desert so long and I don't know what that noise is, but several times I've been like, well, it's time to go inside now. You know what I mean? Like I have no idea what that is, so it has been compared to Skinwalker out here. But I've never seen anything like that in Joshua Tree, admittedly. I haven't. Nothing like that. No, only here. Right. Right. Exactly. I apologize if you Well, it's not a podcast, it's a show, an actual episodic show. There is a podcast that was the companion, behind the scenes, and that will continue in season two as well. So there's two pieces of it. There's Dead Air, the podcast, which is like behind the scenes, and then Dead Air Energies, which is the actual show itself. And it's a show based on my life. Season one is my life here, what it's like, living and having a relationship and a paranormal investigator living in the house, filming it 24 hours a day. Season two is getting ready. I can't say when, I don't have an exact release date because we're going to start shooting very soon, but I am leaving the Vortex. So we are trying to see if it's me. Do the entities come with me? What happens when I host something somewhere else down in Palm Springs and then bring the party back to the Vortex? So there's a lot of new energy coming into the show. But that's basically how I got started was there was so much going on here, and as a show creator, that's what I do. I run a production company that's all I do is make TV shows, concepts for TV shows. I'm a world builder is what I say. And it was kind of like, well, why don't I tell the story of my own world? And that's exactly what I did. Was it was just I couldn't resist. It was too fun. There was too much. My weird life is very odd. I'm very eccentric. I've had a very strange life story. So I just kind of feel like the house is as much a part of me as I am a part of it. And so I felt like it deserved its own show, and that's basically what happened. So season two, stay tuned. It's coming. Exactly, because that's been one of the theories. There was a theory about like a succubus incubus, some varied theories that I'd be interested in exploring further and seeing, is it me? Was it the personalities in the house? Was it the entities in the house? Was it a relationship? What was it that was bringing that type of energy on top of the regular energy that's here? So, what happens if I go out and investigate a haunted drag club in Palm Springs or a haunted golf course in Palm Springs, bring that energy back here, investigate the vortex, have a party at the vortex with the people from the golf course, things like that. What happens, when we do that? And so that's basically the premise for season two is Daphne goes out into the big wide world. I've been extremely isolated my whole life. I've had a very odd go and a wonderful go, don't get me wrong, but it's been strange. So it'll be fun to kind of get out of the ghost town, and kind of see where this takes me. So it's going to be fun being followed around by a production camera crew. It's going to be interesting. We'll see what happens. Mhm. Yeah. It does. It's like they pass the mic around. Yeah, it's like they're passing the mic around. Exactly. Right. Exactly. Exactly. And that's part of it, truly. That is a lot of why, I mean, I have to get out of here. It's a long story, but I've been trapped in, I call it trapped in the vortex. I have not left here in almost a month. It's a long story, but it's time. It's time for me to leave the vortex, not be here full time. And that's exactly why what you're explaining, it never stops. It's very hard to work here. It's hard to sleep here. I mean, it is nearly impossible to function. Truly, it is. It will get into your head, not just the entities, but the isolation, the loneliness of the place. It's huge. It's a big house. You're out here by yourself. It's too hot during the summer to go anywhere. So you're kind of isolated with that. Yeah, you feel me. Uh-huh, you feel me. Yes, exactly. It gets weird out here, doesn't it? You know what I mean? I wish. Yeah, I wish. I've been trying to do that my whole life, and especially here, and I haven't been able to. They're very talkative. They love music, and so it's like never a dull moment around here, that's for sure. But I need a break and to bring some fresh energy and get out into the world and do some things. Like I said, I've been very isolated, so this is a whole new adventure. I'm like so excited about it. Thank you. See you. Yeah, Twisted Reels Productions is my production company. It is housed here at Vortex 29, and this will always be the home of Twisted Reels Productions. This is the studio. Um, we basically make TV shows. We don't make them as far as the camera, but I put together the characters, the worlds, the concepts, the ideas, the storyboards, every single thing that goes into making a television show from your idea to actually, a book, if you will, that you hand a Bible that you would hand to someone. So that's what I do. I have a slate, as they call it, of 36 shows to include Dead Air. And Dead Air is a franchise. There are two other spin-offs coming. And then three other spin-offs coming off of those spin-offs. So that's basically what I do is I just come up with show ideas and then I develop them and make them happen. And so that's basically the story of Twisted Reels is it's my dream job and I get up every day happy to be Jesus. I also do card readings too. The house will tell me what's up. So if somebody would like to book a card reading, that's available at twistedreelsproductions.com as well. So yeah, I use four, right. I use four different decks. I use an Ars Goetia deck. I use a Rider Waite. I have a Dream deck that I absolutely love. I also read Lenormand cards, which is a French form of tarot. I have several different types of tarot that I read. Also have a Dream tarot as well. But mostly I would say, gift is I read shadow. And I haven't met a lot of people that read shadow. And what that is I tell you all the things that you probably don't want to know about yourself, the things that you hide, the things that are very, very difficult for you to face. I'm a Scorpio, I'm a dark aura empath Scorpio. So I see things a little differently than other people do. I do a lot of sexual energy reading, a lot of anger reading. infidelity readings, things like that that are a little less common. I'm Cajun Creole, so I grew up kind of learning the craft a little bit differently. I lived in Appalachia for a while, which is where I learned some of my witchcraft that I practice. So it's kind of an interesting hodgepodge of hoodoo and Appalachian backwoods magic and card reading, and that's what I do. I read shadow. So there you go. Yeah. Yeah. Whenever I talk about shadow reading, yeah, shadow readings will usually bring them out. Like that's why I say it's fun for me to do them here at the house because you'll hear it. Like the house gets very involved and it will start answering questions during the readings. So the shadow readings, I definitely do them here. I really enjoy doing them here. So season two, it'll take a little collaboration with my scheduling. So book a reading for the next, 30 days because I leave here on the 15th of September. So yeah, get your readings in now while I'm here 24 hours a day. That's weird. I can hear you fine. Thanks, guys. Thanks for letting me know. I don't know. I hope that's not the case. Yeah, for sure. It's the vortex too. I'm telling you, it really is. I'm telling you, the vortex is literally a vortex. It'll eat you. I'm telling you.